you have an explanation for the current liberal elites in the Western world that have become atheist and largely anti-religiosity? How did we become so preoccupied with the Islamic ideas and politics and culture, if you like?
Okay, Shalom, Michelle. Thank you for the question. I think that this is a very, very pertinent question, especially during our days, as we know that generally in Europe and the United States, this ideology of liberal atheism caused a profound lack of sense of identity in Europeans and Americans. Of course, the history of Europe is much older, goes back to 1,500 years ago, and Europeans have a very profound sense of culture, much more than the Americans, though they only have 270 years of history, right? That also come from the English, but it was diluted. Nevertheless, this phenomenon of loss of identity in Europe, which generates this current movement of liberal atheism, okay, generated a very profound lack of sense of identity. So a lot of the citizens of European countries, like the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, maybe on the South a little bit less. The South remain a little bit more attached to the older traditions, like Spain, Portugal, and Italy, even though the majority lost very profoundly a sense of identity. Therefore, when now they are confronted with this what it's already called for many years, the Arab Spring, this movement of Islam trying to conquer Europe with their ideology. So people are irrationally attracted towards Islam. They feel a certain attraction to it because there's a very profound sense of identity by the Muslims in the way they dress, in the way that they believe in very simple things, which are actually opposite to life, which is a delicate thing, a sophisticated thing, something that you have to be careful with. But Muslims are not careful with, because they don't worship really life. They worship the opposite of life. And they're actually down here in order to, whether it's about the opposite of life, whether to convert everybody. So this is very irrational. And from the dawn of ages, people are attracted. It's a very interesting phenomenon in the human psychology, which is people generally are afraid of what they don't know. But then that can be converted into an irrational attraction towards it. Okay, an irrational attraction towards what they don't know. And this, therefore, the Islam creates this magnetism of people getting attracted by it because they are in so lack of values and so lack of sense of identity that they become irrationally attracted by this very strong apparent sense of identity. Okay, and this is, and therefore, the problem is this atheist liberalism that started with Napoleon, as we know. We're not going to make a history back again, but the problem is the sense of identity. Every person, a Dutch person that identifies himself with his culture, okay, or an English person that identifies himself with his culture and with the proper system of values, which is the Noahide code, which is the true and authentic system of values for every person in whatever country that he might be, combined with his own local culture, okay, the way that he eats, the language that he uses, which is the main factor of his culture, the way he thinks, then can stabilize a person's identity, and no longer people will be attracted irrationally towards Islam or Christianity, which is also irrational, no longer. When a person has a clear system of values, combined with his local language, his culture, he will be set. for life and no longer more attracted by this type of phenomenon. And we will have resolved the main problem of humanity, which is the lack of identity.
Right. Thank you for this interesting answer, Rabbi.
Thank you for the question, Michelle, and hope to see you next week again.
Thank you. Goodbye. Shalom.